Hi everyone, my name is Natasha. Welcome to my channel. I'm a student studying kinesiology, and so as you can guess by the title, is the sitting the enemy? And what do I mean by that? We're going to be talking about physiological aspects, specifically more for prolonged periods of sitting, and then in a later video, I'm going to be talking about how impacts skeletal muscle, right? Okay, so on average, for sedentary occupations, we spend around 597 minutes a day sitting in a sitting position, right, on a 24-hour period. So that's about 10 hours that you are sitting in a prolonged position. And so how do we define these sedentary behaviors? And sedentary behavior is defined as just a long period of inactivity, and that is what is categorized for sitting, right? You're sitting down in a prolonged position for long periods of time, and this is particularly true if you have an office job, or if you're a student studying really challenging classes. That might also be the case, though I wouldn't say it's really much the case if you're also working and you're doing light physical activity. And according to the American College of Sports Medicine, physical activity, you should be engaging in it for at least 30 minutes, 3 days of the week from moderate intensity exercise, right? And so according to them, even if you are having a sedentary job, or you are sitting and you do at least 30 minutes of exercise, you would be considered physically active. But even so, that is still a really long time to be sitting around each day, right? And during this day and time, we have a lot of screen time that has just been an increase, right? Because we have Netflix, computers, and phones that, scrolling through TikTok, Insta. It's just become a day-to-day life, really. And so what are associated with prolonged sitting positions physiologically, right? There's weight gain and type 2 diabetes, which these are linked to obesity. And how does physical exercise help with that? When you are being physically active, how does that help with sitting? It improves glucose tolerance, increases fibrobrinolysis, which is the breaking down of clots, reduces blood pressure, and it does play a role with metabolic health. And so that is why being physically active is important. Now going into the physiological aspects of it, it does affect cardiovascular health, right? If you're familiar with atherosclerosis, which is the narrowing of arteries because of plaque buildup, that reduces blood flow to the heart, and it is one of the most common factors for heart attacks. And so being physically active helps keeps those blood vessels compliant to changes in diameter, right? Because when we're physically active, we want those changes in diameter of the blood vessels, because that helps with that, right? Now this chart I'm showing here, I think, does a really good job at showing how sitting for long periods of time affects your health. Here we have the cardio respiratory. As I mentioned here, it says atherosclerosis, and then we have our heart disease, and then I'm going to be talking about triglycerides levels. So they do increase when you are sitting for long periods of time, because they are associated with low levels of lipoprotein lipase, and I'm going to call it LPL. It is a rate-limiting enzyme, and it regulates the uptake of circulating free fatty acids into adipose tissue and skeletal muscle. So with chronic sedentary behaviors, it causes a reduction in LPL activity. And where there is an LPL decrease, where there is a decrease in LPL activity, there is an increased risk for cardiovascular disease, circulating triglycerides levels, and a decreased of high density lipoprotein, which those are responsible for reducing the bad cholesterol, right? So we have low levels of that. And then what they did was, in a study of 5 days of complete bed rest, they found that the participants experienced an increase of cholesterol, triglycerides, glucose, and insulin resistance. So why would insulin resistance play a role for prolonged sitting? Well, you're not moving. Chances are there's probably an overconsumption of food when you're sitting for long periods of time, so that does increase insulin resistance, and insulin is responsible for storing glucose into muscles or fat. So when you have insulin resistance, it is a down regulation, so the pancreas is producing a lot of insulin in order to be able to store that glucose, and physical exercise is what is recommended when you are having a lot of insulin resistance. All right, and that concludes today's talk about prolonged sitting. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.